consistently, without contradiction, indicated here on the show and on several other platforms that we are heading for abyss. We're heading for a big dungeon. If care is not taken, people will throng the streets. And I'm not threatening anybody, but if we don't deal with the underlying economic conditions affecting our good people, it may get to a point where good conscience will no longer prevail. Reason will no longer prevail. Bread and butter issues will become the fundamental things which will drive people's actions. So clearly, there's something which ought to give. We must, with immediacy, try, at the very least, to do things which will benefit the good people of Ghana and which will take their minds off the possibility of embarking on some demonstration or some conflagrations or creating chaos and pandemonium and things like that. It's very, very important. I don't know why we have not been able to address these matters. I don't know whether it's deliberate or otherwise, but it appears that we are really being stretched in this country. We are really, really being stretched, particularly the young people of this nation. Oftentimes I say that I don't know what the future holds for the younger generation. It appears that we are dissipating all our resources. The resources which are even underneath the soil are being mortgaged. So what is the clearest future for our young generation? These are battling questions that we always try to engage our minds with. But oftentimes, for as long as we try to engage our minds with these burning questions, we are unable to find answers for them. And we are unable to see the clearest way possible. So there's no end in sight. We can only talk about these matters. We can only complain about these matters. But the solution lies in the mouth and in the activities of government. But it appears this government really doesn't care about the plight of the good people of Ghana. And that, for me, is really, really, really unsettling. Now, let me just quickly flash on your screens the education expenditure that I was talking about. And then you will see for yourselves how much we have had to spend. And that's projected on the screens now. Thank you, Bless. Now, if you see what Bless has just put on the screens, you see educational expenditure analysis, President's statement, and there's a website. There's a link to it. If you click, so the data, this is the data. All right. Now, if you look at the year 2013, we spent about some 19 billion, right? And then 2014, some 24 billion. Then 2015, some 32 billion. Then in 2016, we spent some 33 billion. Mind you, 2016 was an election year, so it was still within the periphery of the NDC's administration. Now, check the figure from 2017. 2017 we moved to 41 billion, 2018 47 billion, 2019 53 billion, 2020 55 billion, and then now we've started, so it's early days yet. 2021, look at 47, but if you look at the GDP nominal in terms of the city, 2013, between 2013 and 2021, the figures are abnormal. And you look at the total education expenditure, I think that should be the place of interest for us. The total education expenditure, we're looking at between 2013 and 2021. Look at the figures. That is that's the third column. Look at the figures. Look at the figures. Madness. So this is where we are. And, of course, one can safely assume that the figures have hiked by reason of the introduction of the free senior high school. But you know that the figures do not correspond with the current state of our education. It's quite clear. I mean, you don't need a soothsayer or a pastor or a seer to tell you that the figures that we are seeing do not necessarily correspond with the educational makeup of this nation. Free SHS, yes, but, it's just complete chaos. Complete chaos in this country. It begs the question, what is our drive? What is our focus as a nation? Are we investing, if we're investing in education, what is the end game? We're investing in free senior high school, but we forget that after senior high school, these young people will most of them will go to the tertiary institutions, after which they would need to work in this country. Do we have jobs even available for these young people such that once they complete their tertiary education, they will be able to find something to do? We are saying that we want to introduce Youth Start. We have not created any enabling environment which will allow for the young people, after successfully starting their entrepreneurial journey or entrepreneurship journey, to get, to sell even the products that they are going to put on the market. So we are just simply, making promises and introducing things which are not thought through. Clearly, this is just a political, policy. There's no clear-cut plan. There is no sustainability plan. And oftentimes, I've said this countless number of times on this platform, that the NPP government knows how to introduce policies. They have mouth-watering, sugar-coating policies. But when it comes to, and of course, as for implementation, you just need a few coins here and there to be able to implement it. But oftentimes, the sustainability has always been a problem. The introduction of NAPCO should have been the vehicle through which we will transmogrify, or if you will, transfer the knowledge which these young people have acquired into the entrepreneurial space. But what has become of NAPCO even? The people who have been working within, within the NAPCO project, how have we treated them? We treat young people and we treat, students who've graduated, or we treat young entrepreneurs as just minors. So, let's just find them something to do and give them a few change here and there. That is our current situation. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate. And something must happen. This year, something must happen. The projection is that we are going to see a further increment in the prices of fuel. That's the projection. Okay, so if it goes up, another problem. So yes, you can have Youth Start, you can have all these niceties, but if you don't have a well thought out plan which will augment the introduction of the policy and sustain the policy, it's just like leaving your sugar, in the rain and expecting to collect them back. You won't find anything. So something has to happen, and the president must sit up with his ministers to be able to do these things for the good people of this nation. It's very, very crucial. Anyway, there is another issue which has been raised by ASEP, and I pray my producers work the lines so that we can talk to the lead researcher for ASEP on oil and energy, oil and gas. If we'll be able to get him, I'll be very happy, because they've made some allegations. I think they did a press conference. They held a press conference yesterday. They made some allegations against GMPC, I believe, and we need to delve deeper into those matters. It has to do with Exploco and who are the shareholders and the beneficial owners, etc., etc. We need to interrogate those matters as well on this show. So hopefully, Bless Alomoso will be able to work the lines so that we will be able to speak to the ASAP and find out why the allegation. Honorable Amone. So please. Anyway, so yeah, these are the burning issues which requires our attention. I'll go for this quick commercial break. When I come back, I'll introduce my panelists and the topics. So you might want to stay with us. It's going to be very, very interesting this morning. I am poised to bring to you the issues. I believe my panelists are poised as well to discuss the issues without recourse to any political interferences. Hopefully, we'll be able to deal or rather address all these matters here on the show. I've seen Honorable Abi Hussein, who is here in his dark glasses, looking all young and ready. I've seen Sabo, who is in his blue, ready for action. And I've seen my brother, my very own, the indefatigable, the communications director, director for PNC Audishak, also here seated. National. Quick commercial break. On our return, we will delve deeper and deeper into the waters of politics. Stay with us.
Every day he looks after his brother and chases a bus. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, and learns new things. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, and gets back home. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, gets back home, and helps his mom. Phew. That's why every day he needs his cup of Milo filled with the nutritious goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa. Milo, the energy to go further.
From Nestle.
This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, information.
But ask.
Me, I have still not got the money for that list of expensive building materials you sent to me. The price of the iron rods have been increased too much.
Madam, relax. Look, that's not why I even called. I just visited IPCP, where the engineers told me everything about Trasacco fast floor.
Trahuanko, please, those people are expensive. Are they not the people building those big houses in town? I beg going to guy.
Madam, in fact, I used to think the same until I visited their office today, and they gave me an estimate of how much it will cost. No, the estimate is free. It's cheaper than the one I even sent you.
Wow.
Building contractors, foremen, masons. Visit IPCP, the Trasacco Fast Floor. Engineers will assist you build an affordable, faster, and stronger building.
Oh, madam. It is done.
Wow.
Trasacco Fast Floor. Stronger, faster, and affordable.
This is a Trasacco construction product.
Hello? Okay, wait a minute. Why? My wife comes and send a message. Your face is going to hello? I didn't know. What's happened?
It's a chunk who will be a quiet say what? I did say,
Besides, friend of friend, I'm so years. You are not testing messages here. And our office also, I'm trying to tell you, she says, I
mean, so we a guy manu, and may young who could cry. And also wants a family drilling company limited for Kana.
What's it then? Family Dwelling Company Limited.
Ye two borehole, biofuel, biogas, swimming pool, plumbing works in Danso, ye be Freya 0240 333 111 and now says 0244 144 822.
Miampa and you want swimming pool, me see. Me want to, will be here. Family drilling, I want family drilling.
What fast is your last set?
Me out with that shit.
From that quick commercial break, let me quickly take you through the topics and then I'll introduce my panelists. I think I've done that already, but let me take you through the topics. Nigeria lifts ban on Twitter after 7 months. Hey, my brother, this one there cannot be an African story. Maybe we need to go to Gambia. Fuel prices to shoot up again. That's on the front page of the Insight newspaper. Concerned Drivers Association to increase fares by 40%. COVID-19 vaccines provide high-level protection. Ghana Health Service rejects concerned doctors' claim. Ghanaian Times newspaper reported that Ghana debt moves deeper into distress as investors lose patience. Daily Post. Now, it's not just Daily Post. I think that this one is a research which was done by Bloomberg. Yes, Bloomberg. So we will get into all of these topics here on the show. Very, very, very excited about today. I don't know why I'm excited about today. Perhaps, yeah. Okay, maybe let's go to Ethiopia instead of this Twitter thing because, to be honest, I don't find that. Yeah, Ethiopia. Nobel Prize Board urges Abiy to end Ethiopian war. Urges Abiy to end Ethiopia war. So maybe we will touch on that story because at least there's a background to this. very much are aware of the background to this particular story. Audishak, because it's been a while, let me start with you. Happy New Year, by the way.
Many happy returns,
Right.
Kwame.
Let me start with you on this Ethiopian saga.
Well, Kwame, good morning to the cherished viewers of Pan-African TV. And good morning to my two senior brothers and co-panelists here. Kwame, quite frankly, I don't know the number of times we would have to sit here and have to go or delve into matters concerning war and instability on the continent of Africa. And it's all because we all appreciate the fact that we need some level of peace and stability in order to be able to achieve whatever aspirations the continent of Africa have for itself. And so to that extent, I think that when some of these calls are made, irrespective of who is making that particular call, it is important that those concerned give a listening ear. And Ethiopia, for me, cannot be left on its own, because whether we like it or not, there's always a spillover effect whenever tensions rise and anything untoward happens on the continent of Africa, in any country at all. And so the continent of Africa and its leadership must join the Nobel Peace Board. And undoubtedly, we all know the focus and the vision of the Nobel Peace Board. As the name even suggests, they are committed to ensuring that we have a peaceful environment, a very stable environment. And so when they identify some of these problems and they speak out, it's important that everybody concerned or everybody who matters, we try to join them and to make the call quite loud enough so that those who are affected would see the need to do something about it, so that together we can have a very peaceful and a very stable environment within the continent of Africa. Already we have a lot of problems that we are battling with. And the least problem that should concern us as a people is that of conflicts and wars, because these are, most often than not, these are things that are man-made. Why can't we deal with them so that at the end of the day we can have the focus to deal with the so many other hydra-headed problems that continue to confront us and that continue to draw us back as a people and as a continent. So I think that this is quite a good call by the Nobel Peace Board, and everybody that matters ought to see the need to join in this particular call.
Thank you very much, Audi Shak. Simple, straight to the point. Sabo.
Good morning.
Good morning, my boss.
Let me take the opportunity to say good morning to our cherished viewers. Good morning to your crew. Not forgetting of the wonderful people of the New York of Ghana, Owusu East, and the heartbeat of the world, Tamale. Let me extend my greetings to my elder brother, Alhaji ABFC, Member of Parliament for Sanargo constituency, and my younger brother, the Communications Director, National Communication Director of the PNC. I wish him well in his office.
It's not been an easy journey
at all, and it is still not easy. He's still in the distance, but I know him, and then the kind of person he is, I strongly believe. Of course, you know, his boss is Banamona, and if Banamona should train somebody, then you should know how tough that person is. Kwame, this particular story, are you referring to the?
No, I mean that's why I'm saying that the Twitter thing. So we went to Ethiopia to discuss what the Nobel Prize Board has been indicating to Abiy, that he should make sure he restores peace and brings the war in Ethiopia to an end, and that's what Audi Shak touched on.
Yes, as for the Ethiopian issue, to be frank with you, I have not been following it for some time now, so I wouldn't want to, wade into it. But nonetheless, I know from the beginning that there has been some, conflict, especially with the what do you call it? Tigray. Yes, the Tigrayan people. And of course, they have been fighting for, it's like they've been marginalized for quite too long, and there are so many things that goes on in Ethiopia that they feel like they should also be part of the whole, issues. So for that one, I think, I don't know how far they've gone, because I think the last time we discussed this issue, it's like they were almost at the tail end of the whole thing, finding solution to the whole problem. Because they were marching towards the capital, if I'm not mistaken. Absolutely. And I think there was some sort of interventions in order not to, bore our viewers and also say something that is not factual. I wouldn't deliberate much on this issue because I don't know, to be frank, I don't know where we are today and I don't know what is going on.
All right. Honorable.
Yeah, Kwame, let me say good morning to your good self, to my brother Audu Ishak. Communicating for a party in opposition, especially a party that has no representation in parliament, is a very difficult job. Having to get up every morning and find resources to go around is not an easy job. So it was the World Jeko who said that he realized that a bag of corn is heavy because somebody carried a bag of corn and stepped on him. And he found out that it is really heavy. Until you have a feel of what it takes, you don't know what people go through. It's a very difficult job. I want to salute him for the sacrifices he's making, for not just for his party, but our democracy. My brother Sabo, my long-suffering brother. Kwame, when there's dirty work at the party, they will look for him. I've told him several times, especially for those of us who come from the north, it will get you to do all the dirty work. When you finish the dirty work, they will dump you. When there was work to be done at the Greater Accra Regional Secretariat, and they used him, the secretary, to go around in his rickety car and do so many things, in the hope that he would do the work. He did it, Kwame. We were all here when they went for the elections. You saw what they gave money to people to go and do against him. And when the appointments also came, you saw it. So Kwame, I don't envy him, but I've been telling him that he's in the wrong party. Because all the sacrifices are that if he was in NDC, by the grace of God, when we come in 2024, you would have seen the results. So we recognize merit and sacrifice.
Are you by way extending an invitation?
This is an invitation.
It is not an offer. Politics is an invitation. It's not an offer. Politics is a game of numbers. I lie. It's a game of numbers.
Even your party, you have your own issues.
Oh, why?
Who will disagree with
we are not perfect. We are only better than some other people.
Who disagree with
that is it.
He's entitled to his opinion.
So
without any doubt. So Kwame, let me say good morning to your viewers out there, our technical people, and of course the Brichina people of the Sanaro constituency. I was there last week. Kwame, I'm going back again. By the grace of God, I'm sure you know that by the funeral of our friend's brother, father, is coming on this weekend. By the grace of God, we shall all go and commiserate with him. And, I'm sure Kwame, you'll be there. Huh? I'm going to tell Alaji Baba if you don't come to sanction you. You have no other place to go this weekend. Kwame, you have to come, especially when Mr. Pratt himself is going to be there.
Ama will go.
No, Kwame. Kwame, there's no excuse. In fact, from here, I'll bundle you inside my car and go.
Are you going today?
I will. Hopefully. Yes. Okay. So, Kwame, Ethiopia, Kwame.
I don't have money for airfare, so plane tickets.
I will go with me in my car.
But you one time you called me on phone saying that you were attacked. They don't like coming.
Yes.
They want to
always fly.
Let me tell you something.
Kwame, go by
now.
Kwame is doing well.
We have I know so many places.
Kwame is doing well.
But have you ever gone from from Accra to Naleru? By road?
No. I've gone. Yeah.
You want to fly to Tamale?
From Kumasi to Tamale by road? Yes.
Yes, I'm saying that you fly.
Wale to sometime.
Yeah, Wale, yes.
So you've never. You not gone Wale to Tamale. You have not gone anywhere.
No. Since I came to Accra, I was in KNUST at the time. So I went to
Kwame,
I say you've taught Ghana.
Kwame, when you
but I know so many.
Kwame, when you travel, that is when you have the opportunity to meet the good people of this country.
I'm telling you, I like Beirut, Papa.
You hear, you see. That is what me I go. So when I say something, Kwame, when I say this thing is a mail, I'm holding it by the balls.
Honorable, do you know?
That's the feeling of the people on the ground.
Do you know Akabwe?
Eh?
Do you know Akabwe?
Do you know Mayam? You see that I flood you.
Do you know Pipram?
Eh? Do you know Katakacha? You can't.
I can see. Are you who has been campaigning on this? How can I compare myself?
You know, message of village and you say, is it in Komsomolskaya or is in Ghana? So, Kwame, the sad story of Ethiopia. Sad to say, it's like if you see conflict in Ethiopia, it's like accusing a dog of barking. Unfortunately, it's had a long history of conflict. And going back to the, even after the dead regime of Mengistu Haile Mariam and the aggregation of all these rebel groups, the Eritrean People's Liberation Front, Oromo Liberation Front, so many other liberation fronts that came up, and that served as the basis for the splintering of Ethiopia until Eritrea piled up the pressure and seceded and managed to break away to become a separate state. Then the others took up the mantle again and continued the fight. Now you recall that the Nobel Committee conferred on Abiy and Isaias Afwerki, that is the Eritrean president. They gave them joint Nobel Peace Prize, one of the most prestigious peace accolades that anybody can get in the world, for promoting peace in Ethiopia and Eritrea. You know, the Eritrean conflict had been one of the very longest and most devastating. So when through those efforts they managed to reconcile and bring peace to the Horn of Africa, I think that there was joy, and the Nobel Peace Committee felt that they had done a good job to merit being given the Nobel Peace Prize. And so no sooner have they taken this in, then the man who is holding the Peace Prize goes again and is at the head of a war. You know, prosecuting the war right into Tigray. You remember that they were in Mekele, that is the Tigrayan capital, and occupied it, and so many things happened. Allegations were even made that some war crimes had been committed, some civilians had been unduly subject to brutalization, attacks, and even lost their lives. And so it took a lot of concerted efforts from the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front to get the Ethiopian troops out of Tigray. And then what happened again, they then started pushing towards the capital, as you rightly indicated, and created some very serious concern, because all of us here had heard that they were even knocking at the gates of Addis Ababa. And everybody was alarmed that, hey, if this thing should happen, my brother, it will throw the whole continent into disarray. And fortunately, some interventions managed to stem the tide. And today again, we are hearing there's more escalation again in Tigray. And so it's back and forth. Kwame, I think that it doesn't, in this day and age, I have said time without number, Kwame, that no African state today, in the current level of global integration that we are seeing, is a viable state. No African country, not even the mighty South Africa. It's not. Today, if you go to South Africa, you will see where South Africa is drifting to now. You can't. In the face of that global competition, where even mightier powers, colonial powers, who had accumulated all those resources through colonial bondage and pillage, are themselves coalescing. They are merging to form economic unions. And we are just there fighting as on non-viable, balkanized individual states. You can't make it. And so to get even the balkanized state, even further balkanizing from within, then it shows that you are imploding. And for me, Kwame, it's a very sad commentary. Right. I think that Abiy should be amenable to the international calls that are being made. Right. And together with the Tigrayan leaders, sit down. It was the main thing was about autonomy, and I believe that they can give the Tigrayan people a greater degree of power.
All right.
They can deconcentrate from Addis Ababa. Let them have some destiny in Mekele and handle local affairs, so that some aspect, like a federal system as it is, they can cede some of their powers in terms of defense, foreign affairs, and others to the federal government in Addis Ababa.
Okay, yeah.
So that they can take the local autonomy and deal with local matters, so that peace can return to that area.
I think you've actually solved their problem for them.
If
they are watching, they should take a cue from what you
deconcentration of power.
Yeah, the point you made. Right, let's come back home to Ghana. We also have our own issues to deal with. First of all, we're dealing with the debt situation in Ghana. Ghana's debt moves deeper into distress as investors lose patience. I'm reading. As the era of cheap money draws to an end, bondholders are no longer prepared to cut Ghana any slack. Ghana's dollar bonds have slumped 10% in 10 days, moving deeper into distressed territory as investors judge that refinancing debt in the Eurobond market won't be an option when the Federal Reserve hikes rates and budget targets remain elusive. The extra premium demanded on Ghana's sovereign dollar debt jumped on Wednesday to an average of 1,105 basis points from 683 basis points in September. Its $27 billion of foreign debt had the worst start to the year among emerging markets, extending last year's 14% loss, according to a Bloomberg index. Investors are questioning whether Ghana, the region's second biggest economy, can sustain its debt levels if a surge in borrowing costs shut it out of international markets. Government debt climbed to 81.5% of gross domestic product at the end of last year, from 31.4% a decade ago, according to data compiled by Bloomberg. That places, by Bloomberg, okay, right. So, yeah. So basically, yeah, this is just where we are. Let me start with you, Sabo, if I may, respectfully, on this subject matter. The concern has been that it appears that, we borrowed so much, we are getting to a point where we will be described as debt-distressed country. And the fear is that if the international doors are shut in the face of, all of these things which are happening, will we be internally able to deal with all our issues? One has indicated that it appears by reason of all of these matters, which is why government is finding ways and means of generating revenues internally, which obviously led to the conceptualization of the introduction of the e-levy, etc., etc., etc. How do we deal with all of these economic challenges, particularly when we have not been also able to achieve the president's promise, that Ghana was going to be moved from taxation to production? Exactly. So how do we deal with these matters?
Kwame, I think with this issue, I don't know how many times I have to address this debt to GDP ratio issue. In the first place, when we took over in 2016, what was the debt to GDP ratio? It was almost 70%. When there was no any crisis whatsoever, when the economic atmosphere was very conducive enough for business activities to go on. Yet, it was around 69 point something percent. And in the midst of, I think, I don't know, COVID-19, I stand to be corrected. I don't think there has ever been any pandemic, apart from maybe First World War and Second World War, that has actually, swept the whole world off its feet, like COVID-19. There is no any country on the surface of this earth which has never been hit by the the COVID-19 current. And we are all aware. The last time we met here, when we were talking of the economies of the various countries, I think I listed so many other countries like Germany, and even when I came to Africa, Cote d'Ivoire and other things, that Ghana even performed better. Because the notion was that, as at that time, Ghana was around 0.something% or GDP growth rate. But we went to other countries like Germany and other countries, and they were even in negative. And other things. So in the midst of this situation, when things are not normal, you don't expect to see what we've been seeing in normal situations. And for that matter, me, if you look at the percentage increase, I've been hearing the opposition sometimes try to over-elaborate this particular issue of our debt to GDP ratio from 2016 to where we are currently hovering about, and compare it or put it in the COVID-19 situation. I think this government has done very well. There has never been in the history of this country where government was going on the street sharing foods, just giving food to people who have been affected by one thing or the other. We've had a lot of pandemics. I mean, cholera, you can mention them. Even 1983, when there was drought and there was food shortage in this country, and the likes of America and other giants had to come to our aid, there was no door-to-door distribution of food items. Yes, 1983. There was no door-to-door distribution. In fact, I remember as at that time, I was old enough to know what was happening. But COVID-19, people had their doors being knocked and they open and somebody stand there with food items.
Where?
In Ghana here, in
Where?
Accra here,
Where?
Accra here.
Where?
At so many places.
Which other places? Which so many places? I didn't receive any food.
Yes, you will not receive, of course. You are living in a gated house.
How am I living in a gated house?
Oh, my friend. You are living in a fenced house and with dogs and other things. Miss I should bring food to your house. Am I out of my senses? What do you mean? We are looking for people who are living in a place that is welcoming people to come and knock at their doors.
This matter.
What are you talking about? We're not in this country. Didn't you see it?
Which one? The one that How Akumzi said, was it How Akumzi?
Listen.
The food that they were buying,
listen.
They were cooking at Moving Pig or Kempiski.
Where?
You go ahead.
Moving Pig. me personally, I distributed food. Beans, gari, oil, and other things to people.
From your pocket?
Even my community, yes. I distributed some. Not from my pocket. From the government.
Government gave you money?
Yes. No money. Government gave me food items to distribute.
Where?
Oh, do Allah. Am I not a citizen?
Where?
When was the last time? No, you are saying Ghana here. No, I said even in my community, I distributed.
Which community?
Oh, then forget it. Don't pretend. No. Look, I'm talking on a very serious issue here. We are all aware of the people were even saying that the food that was distributed. You came out with the NDC came out with figures that it didn't even cover up to 10 million or what. I mean, they came. I don't want. I don't. You know me the way I am. I don't want to say something that is not factual. But they are there. They are there. Maybe when he gets his 10, he can remember the figures. If there was no food distribution, how come they had figures? The people who benefited from it, and they were even saying that some along the line, that it was so the family and friends things that we were doing. Yes, and assemblies, all the assemblies in Greater Accra, all of them distributed food. All the assemblies in Greater Accra. Today we have 29 MMDAs in Greater Accra. All of them, they distributed food. And I'm surprised you are asking me these questions. We've discussed these issues here. If you go into your archives, we discussed these issues here. Today you are asking me where, because you didn't get some. And you think we'll bring it to you.
But he said he was looking for the
food. Yes, he's asking that where? That nobody knock at his door. Yes, and I'm saying that you are living in a gated house with dogs with big mouth. I want to say,
have you been to a house before?
Don't I know your house? Let me talk on the modesty. So Kwame, you see, with all these things, quite apart from that, water was also supplied freely.
That one I know.
Utility
to some communities.
Yes,
later they charge.
No, no. We didn't charge. I'm coming. Okay, yes, you can call charge.
Okay.
We only restored the what they call it, the bills, but we did not charge for the lost distance. And electricity also was free. There were so many, even businesses, taxes on certain businesses were also slammed down because of COVID-19. And these are areas that government generates revenues and others. So government and even businesses were shut down because people were asked to stay indoors. So it means production was not going on again. And yet government increased its expenditure. And tell me, is it magic that you want the government to have performed, not to borrow? Which country didn't borrow around that time? Even Almighty America borrowed. Almighty America, they also borrowed. So, if today we have gotten to this particular stage, and even quite apart from that, you were saying the international community are not having confidence in Ghana and the rest. And who are those who come here to invest? As we speak, in the midst of COVID-19 with all this hula baloo, FDI, this current government has performed far better than Atamil John Dramani Mahama government. Give me the figures.
But you are stating the
figures. Yes, and I'm telling you, I have told you this. And if you want to, okay, I'm still driven, but you want to get to a time, I'll Google and give you the figures. Unless you don't give me the opportunity. No, I'm telling you, yes, of course. No, I have mentioned the figures here several times. It's just that this morning I have mentioned them here several times that you did not challenge. And you are aware. There's no way you've ever performed better than us when it comes to FDI. How many companies invested in your regime? Mention about 2-3 companies that invested during your regime. When you even came to collapse companies and even you came and spent so many money, Commander Sugar Factory, you will not resurrect it.
So go on.
Commander Sugar Factory, that one is not dead though. That one, it is what do you call it, Kurano? It fainted. Common resurrection, you could not resurrect it. Let alone to talk of bringing a whole factory into being. And how much did you spend on Commander Sugar Factory? And as we speak, is it not there? So Kwame, frankly speaking, yes, as a country, we should be worried about the level of our debt to GDP. Listen, yes, that's why you cannot take it away from any well-meaning Ghanaian. But you should ask yourself, how come? What are the factors that led us to where we are today? Okay, hadn't been any other government or hadn't been any other regime, what would have been the situation? Or let's look at in the past, has something like that ever happened? And what was the how did we go about them? Quite apart from that, when a research was conducted by Ministry of Finance on tax paying this in this country, we were all told that only about 20% of the population pay tax. 80% go out, fall outside the net and other things. Kwame, the digitalization that today all of us are enjoying from, the over 40% or how many percent increase in expenditure in education, expenditure on education and other things, and so many other government social interventions that has been put in place that in the past Ghanaians had to pay huge sums of money to access those services and the rest. Where do you think those monies are coming from? Or where do you think that we get the resources to be able to implement all these things? And as we speak, I thought maybe we should have rather look at the argument this way. Let's take the economy and take sector by sector and then look at it and then interrogate it and see the performance of this government. Even as we speak today, that what we call GDP growth rate as compared to 2016. Is today's performance not better than 2016? Even as compared to 2016, we are still with COVID-19. We are still going for our jobs and the rest. But are we still not performing better? The figures are there. Big bro, I want you to just go. No, big bro. What GDP? What was the GDP growth rate?
No, you should be telling me.
Okay, no,
so I made that comparison.
You tell me, so I'll tell you why I said ours is better than.
You are not doing anything.
Tell me.
It's a catastrophic performance.
You see. So Kwame,
I'm listening to you.
I like that. So Kwame, me, as we sit here today, if they say our debt to GDP ratio is around 80% to our gross domestic product, I wouldn't argue about that. But yet, of course, I'll be a bit alarmed as a citizen. But I will appreciate it more when I look at the factors that led us to where we are today and look at it. If it were to be in NDC, maybe I will be speaking from my grave as I speak this morning. I don't think some of us would have been alive today to be able to talk. Common, what they call it, Ebola. I mean, in quote, I call it common because it never hit this country. When it was in other countries, it didn't even get to this country. No person had Ebola from this country. But how much did we spend on Ebola? To the extent that Tama General Hospital, the Auditor General had to go there because there was too much of chop in Tama General Hospital. Meanwhile, there was no single case of Ebola in this country. May God forbid, if you have recorded 2 or 3 cases, only God knows where the economy would have found itself. But in Ghana, when it comes to COVID-19, thousands of people, even today as we speak, I don't know, the last time I checked, it was around 7,000 something. Kwame, I don't know whether you still follow the figures. No, I think it has gone to 12,000 rather. Active cases. 12,000 something. COVID-19 as we speak today. And you expect the government to fold its arms and watch on for its citizens to be devastated by this coronavirus. Not Kwame. Something ought to be done. And what to be done is using resources to save lives in this country and restore the energy that this government started with. You all will witness, before COVID-19, look at the rate at which this government was moving with the economy, with developmental projects. As we speak, COVID-19 has robbed me of my, what do you call it, 4-lane, what do you call it, road from Adenta Barrier to Dodua. You know that was to start in 2020. That project, that is the Sino Hydro project. Was not COVID-19 that stopped all those projects. It's just this year that some of them have taken off. Even the thermal interchange, it's part of those projects. COVID-19 came and then stopped all those things, slowed them down, and other things. So if you sit down today and just look at the figures and just bring it and say that debt to GDP ratio has shot up to 81 or 80%, and for that matter, the economy is sinking and what have you, just oppose it. We are not operating on an island. We are operating with other communities who also run economies. Let's look at their economies. Let's look at even countries that even look up to. I mean, who set the pace on the world market that we all follow and see whether they are in a comfortable situation. Even Almighty America, like I mentioned, it's very unfortunate. I didn't know we were going to discuss this, and I would have even said Google and bring you the figures for you to see the current standing of economies. And I believe when I go off, when others are discussing, because I know they may go to certain areas, I will look for the facts. Okay. And then come back and then let people know. He was asking for figures. I'll present the figures. But he knows very well that the economy today is far better than the economy in 2016. We were almost sinking. What was there? When people were being told that when the president even came, John Dramani Mahama was telling unemployed teachers that he's not a magician. I mean, he cannot create jobs for everybody. They ran out of ideas. There was nothing, absolutely nothing left for this government to be able to turn the economy around. And we have come and we've been able to manage the economy to this level, even in the midst of this, what do you call it, pandemic. And people don't find, and I realize that, Kwame, sometimes I don't feel comfortable the way you even select your topics. I've not even seen anything positive about the government. Everything is negative.
Oh, this year, what have you done?
Positive like
all the synopsis.
Like what do you want?
The synopsis.
Okay.
Yes.
Positive like
Samuel, let's interrogate the issues further.
People are schooling free.
Which one? Which
schooling free in this country? SHS is free.
But see, you
are drumming and you are dancing. When you beat your drum, let somebody dance with you. Let's
allow Sabo advance.
Exactly. Thank you.
Important.
Yes. So Kwame.
Sabo, let me just read.
I am of the view that there are so many things that I think this government is doing that we as citizens should also show some sort of appreciations. And I strongly believe that sometimes when we get a platform like this, those things should also be aired. And then so that at least we will know that, yes, we are actually dealing with issues on the ground. But if you look at all these things, fuel prices shoot up, concerned drivers association to increase fares, COVID-19 vaccine provide Ghanaians a high level of what and what and what. I mean, so there's nothing good that this government has done. And I am saying it, and I'm saying it, he's here, he will take his turn. My younger brother will take their turn. That this government, in the midst of this COVID-19, has managed the economy far, far, far better than any other government.
Are you sure?
I am telling you. No, Kwame, you said you were asking me questions. I'm waiting for those questions.
No, because...
You were asking, ask me.
First of all, I'm not here to borrow Kwame Sebakan's words. I'm not a government communicator to be speaking on the good things that government has done. So first of all, I'm not a government.
No, I agree with you absolutely.
So what I will put out are the challenges that we are faced with. Because if government constructs a road, government is supposed to construct a road. Mm-hmm. So it's nothing new. So government. No. So let me come.
What do you vote for? If
the economy is breaking,
let me come.
I am obligated.
If you report to the viewers,
yes,
that there's a road somewhere in Abelempi that government is supposed to construct and government is not doing, that's positive reportage. How are you getting me? Although it is negative to the government, but that's positive to the citizens. And then the government finally respond to that call and construct it. Is it not fair for you to come back again and say that the government no
organizes press conferences and press narrations?
So why don't you allow them to organize the same press conferences for this issue?
When Kwame Nkrumah was having his series of press interactions, did he ever say the bad things that government had done?
Of course, he mentioned certain things that government was not able to do.
Which ones?
Kwame,
never.
You want me to? You yourself mentioned some of the things that he said.
Let's proceed.
No. You see, sometimes we have to be fair. Where we do not perform.
Let me just
it's a mess. They have messed up the country.
By CFA Society Ghana. It's a big economic organization. Of course, they have put together. Because I googled. I googled Ghana's economy. Okay, before COVID-19.
It's a mess.
And clearly, before COVID-19, our debt portfolio was very high. We had brought, I think, 218 billion Ghana cedis, which is 62.4%
I'll show you the figures
of GDP. So the economic, society decided to put together what the economy was, or how the economy was performing pre-COVID,
and then post-COVID,
and then also indicated that recent
let him
in the public debt. So they said that Ghana's debt sustainability is back under threat, with limited option for another debt relief program. Remember that we're giving some 1 billion credit facility with no interest. So for the purposes of salvaging our ailing economy by reason of COVID-19, which is why when you mention COVID-19, I just keep quiet. Because it's not as though we did not get any support from anywhere to shore up the sinking economy. We
1
did.
billion from the
we got
IMF.
1 billion from the IMF.
No, no.
Now that
when
1
you
billion
mentioned
was
that
specific,
1 billion was to be paid back with no interest.
No, absolutely.
So yes, so don't
But
put
it
that
was
as a
given
grant.
to-
No.
I'm not saying. I've not
Said
said
it was
that.
interest free.
I said it was interest free.
Yes.
Credit facility.
So
which was given to government for the purposes of shoring up the economy. That was the reason why we're giving the 1 billion. The question then becomes, because they acknowledge the fact that we were overborrowing.
What happened to the money?
We were overborrowing. So IMF acknowledged the fact that we were overborrowing. And in order that we will be able to continue to sail ashore, we needed some backing, which is why they said that, okay, then there's a COVID relief, facility which we could tap into for the purposes of shoring up the economy. Now, we were given that 1 billion. If you look at the report, and I'll give it to you to read it, that they said that Ghana's debt sustainability is back under threat with limited option for another debt relief program. At the heart of Ghana's debt challenges are the following. 1. Fiscal profligacy amidst weak revenue collection efforts, especially in election years. So they made one. And then they said contingent liabilities emanating from the inefficiently managed state-owned enterprises and poorly arranged contracts within the energy sector. Fiscal costs arising from the cleanup and reforms within Ghana's distressed financial sector. Exchange rate volatility amidst poor epic increase in external debt, with about 48% being commercial debt, and the choice to discontinue debt finance projects to pursue other projects funded by newly acquired debt remains political. This tends to create non-performing assets which do not cover the corresponding liabilities on the country's balance sheet. Consequently, either the taxpayer bears a higher tax burden to service the debt arising from these non-performing assets, or available revenue is consumed in debt service, crowding out other priority spending. Now, they got this graph from the Ministry of Finance's website, and they respond to that and said, as observed in the debt service chart, Exhibit 1, Ghana's interest obligation as a percentage of total revenue resumed an upward trend, despite a reduction in ratio under IMF. Goes on and on and on and on. So what they are trying to suggest is that the economy may have been performing better, as you are indicating, prior to COVID-19. But the percentage of borrowing, the amount of money that we borrowed, if you juxtapose that with the revenue collection, didn't make sense, particularly when interest payment and all other payments, brought the figure to about 37% in terms of public sector, payment and all of those things. So already we were in a quagmire, right? So if you are unable to manage the economy well, such that you will have a stable currency, such that you will be able to invest hugely in places where you can easily generate good revenue internally to support, what you get from IMF, then you will be sinking. So that is precisely where we are now. Agreed, COVID-19 brought some challenges. Agreed. Nonetheless, other countries have been able to stabilize their economies. So why are we still on a downward spiral? That is where the issue is, and that is that's the final question to him, and then I'll come to you.
Yes, Kwame.
No, Kwame. I need to. You interjected a few times, so. Someone, let's go, please.
I like my big bro, Papa. Kwame, you see, I like the fact that you actually brought in the public wage bill issue, and then you side it with the tax system, and of course with our debt management of the debt too, and the rest. In the first place, Kwame, I remember the last time I don't know, but the last time, somewhere 2015 or 2014, yes, sir, the public wage bill was around 72%.
Yes, that's true. It's captured.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So it was around 72%. And as you say, if government is paying to its workers and other things, how are you getting me? Up to 72% of what it produces. Then you should tell me what is actually going on in the public sector.
Right.
And then that is why we as a party sometimes feel that the private ownership is the best way to go with the economy. which currently we are doing when we look at this one district, one factory and the rest. And that is why some people sometimes don't understand that the government is saying that they are putting up one district, one factory, and then when you go and check, it is this man who did this factory, it is these people who came and did this factory. It is a partnership with the government, so that there will be that kind of, what do you call it, you agree with me, in Ghana, we have that saying, that Abenjuma. So, so everybody sit down. After a person knows that at the end of the month, you go and take a salary. There's nothing like the number of hours that you work, and there's that kind of clocking system elsewhere that they do. In Ghana here, whether you come to work around 2 o'clock or 11 o'clock or whatever, at the end of the month, you and the one who came around 5 a.m. will receive the same salary. So all these things are things that the government is working on to make sure that the private person who is business-oriented person partners with the government. So I will make sure that what is supposed to be done is done. Quite apart from that, just fast forward because they are complaining. Quite apart from that, you agree with me, like I'm saying COVID-19. You are talking of the tax listen. People are not working. Companies are not working. And the rest. How do you expect the government to go and then tax these companies? And even if the government should go and tax them, they will tax them based on what they have earned. How much do they earn around around this time? Because most of you agree with me, our economy is almost about, if I'm not mistaken, I stand to be corrected, almost about 80% import. Our economy. Most of the things that we do, we import them. Even the media houses here, right now, most of the things that we need to do your work are not locally produced.
Okay, let me come to
another imported from
Honorable.
I know you expect us to perform magic when borders are closed.
All right. Honorable, let me come to you. I know you have your arguments made, but when you are advancing your argument, please factor my question into it. Question is, we know COVID-19 still exists. We don't know when it's going to end. So are we always going to blame COVID-19 for our nemesis? How do we move beyond the existence of COVID-19, to better our economy? It's very, very important, because every single time you bring, any issue relating to the economy up, the reference COVID-19. And for me, I'm getting a little jittery about this whole situation. So if COVID-19 definitely exists, so must we say that our economy should collapse because COVID-19 exists? That is my question.
Our people have a saying that when a coward sees a man he can beat, he becomes hungry for a fight. Kwame, did you hear me? When a coward, a typical coward, sees a man he can beat, he becomes hungry for a fight. I tell you that the ease with which the MPP wants to shift everything onto COVID tells you how they have made COVID a whipping boy, a convenient scapegoat for their catastrophic, crass, incompetent manner in which they have managed this economy. Kwame, when you tout your economic prowess, your macroeconomic data will expose you. Kwame, I will make available to you. We in the NDC, we did a press conference. I think that was somewhere in July, August last year. Kwame, addressed by our ranking member on finance, Atu, Honorable Atu Forsen. Kwame, I'll provide, it's a very comprehensive data, which showed without any element of doubt that long before COVID, this economy was tottering. Long before COVID. Kwame, as far back as late 2018, 2019, the economy was tottering. And so Kwame, when I will leave you for so that Pan-Africa, you can do the serialization for Ghanaians to follow. Without any iota of doubt. So they can carry their head load. They are looking for a convenient decision to blame their head part. Crass, incompetent, clueless, visionless government. Kwame, they cannot grapple with the problem. Look, let me just touch on the brief management. Kwame, it is by the grace of Almighty Allah. If we were left to the management of this COVID by this government, thousands of Ghanaians would have been dead. This is one of the most helpless governments that in the face of COVID, they have folded their hands and waited for donations. What have they done? Kwame, ask them how many vaccines have they purchased. It was not a shame under this government. Ghana was Ajefu Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana. They were counting the poorest countries in the world for COVAX, for them to make donation of vaccines to people to fight COVID. And they said they were going to do it to the poorest countries in the world. Ghana was the first poorest country in the world. We organized a ceremony at the airport to celebrate our infamy as among the poorest countries in the world. Shame on this government. Kwame, to receive COVAX. The first among the poorest. Not even the Burkina Fasos, the Malis, and the what are these people making of this country? Shame. Kwame, like you said, the IMF, they gave us 1 billion free. Plus money's parliament. You know, parliament were on recess. We were called back to come back.
Yeah, I remember.
Kwame, billions of Ghana cedis. Where is the money? That is the money they siphoned, and when the issue came up, they said they had provided dry food. You remember, we had to get 600 and something million. God of mercy. Even in the face of disaster and a pandemic, you can steal monies. Incredible. Kwame, I don't want to comment. After the management of the COVID, it's a shambolic. Look, from testing. You remember, Kwame, even contact tracers and others who were supposed to be employed to take them, they couldn't pay them. They had to abandon the work. You couldn't do contact tracing. You can't do testing. You can't provide vaccines. You can't provide, even when it came to vaccine, you even wanted to do kalabule with the good people of this country. Look at what Ajima Menu did. And the man is still in office. The president went to Boahafo to go and defend him. That Papa no wabre. Munjanu sa. And he said that he had taken leave of his senses. In which government can a minister take leave of his senses and still be in office? If not Nana Akufo-Addo's government. Which government can anybody openly admit this in? This one, he was not said by somebody, himself. He took leave of his senses. His senses were not there when he was working. God of mercy. And the man is still in office. If not Nana Akufo-Addo, who can maintain such a minister in office? Kwame, let me come to the issues of this economy. And that's why I'm saying that, Kwame, the fundamental issue, and I've said it that, you see, Kwame, a lie is like pregnancy. The older it grows, the more exposed it becomes. The overhyped Nana Akufo-Addo Bawumia government in terms of their economic management today has been exposed. Kwame, and I've said it that the sweetness of the pudding is not in the aroma it emits, it's in the eating. Today, there's no way, Kwame, in Ghana that you go, people don't cry of hardship. The hardship is so clear that even in the budget, when I read the budget, page 11 of the 2020 budget, Sabo, this is your own budget. When I read page 11, where even the finance minister said the hardship is so much that the president even can no longer sleep. It's in the budget. Page 11, go and read it. Okay? So, the hardship is so pervasive in Ghana. Never in the annals of our country's history have people seen this level of hardship. So, it tells you that it is a function of a catastrophic plummeting economy. An economy that is downgraded almost to junk. By it's not the rating agents, Fitch, Moody's, and others. I'm not the one who has said it. It's there. Kwame, before I come to this particular thing that you read, it is there. Who have downgraded the economy and said that the economy is not performing. And Kwame, why? If they use COVID as a convenient decision, and I like Sabo said it that we are not isolated. It's very true. We are all part of the decision. How come that smaller countries like Burkina Faso, who also face COVID in 2020, they all our neighbors outperformed us. They also were subject to COVID. Yes. Look, Burkina Faso performed. I'm giving you in 2020 1.9% economic growth, 4 times our growth. That's not true. You guys just sit there. I said 1.9. I am telling you, go and Google it for you. I have the figures. In fact, I mentioned this on the floor of Parliament, and the APP challenged me. Attended the document in evidence. Burkina Faso grew 1.9%, 4 times our economic growth. Côte d'Ivoire, Kwame, Côte d'Ivoire grew 2%, 5 times our economic growth. 5 times. Togo here, Togo. They grew 1.8, 4 times, more than 4 times our economic growth. So it was down to shambolic, incompetent, crass, incompetent management of the economy. They can't. And so you see clearly that this attempt to shift the whole thing is to make COVID a convenient scapegoat for dumping their inefficiencies. But it won't work because Ghanaians are seeing it today. Kwame, let me take them back. This was a government today. If we are complaining about crisis as a result of borrowing, who are they sacking in the evening and is greeting good night? You don't even have the right to sit in the evening. You are even staying over and greeting good night. Where are you coming from? These are people who, when they were in position, Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia, that this country is awash with money. Yet Sikasu is to come the ally. Kwame.
Yeah.
Is it not the president who said that?
Yeah.
Na yet Sika Bebre so you come kuye. And yes, sir. Kwame. Where is the Sika? The Sika Bebre yet Sunu away.
Sika Nashi.
Kromna Kasashi. Kwame. So I'm just indicating to you. They said that borrowing was an act of lazy governance. And that if the good people of this country give them the mandate and they come to power, they will never borrow. A lie. They said it. When President Mahama was leaving office on 7th January 2017, Ghana's total indebtedness from independence to that time was 120 billion. 120 billion. Today, even coming, the figures nobody knows. People are even saying it's now 360 plus. Just do small mathematics. You come that Nana Akufo-Addo has borrowed close to over 240 billion Ghana cedis in 4.5 years. Kwame, and the worst aspect of it is that what have they used the money for? What have they used the money for? In the NDC, we can point out clearly under President Mahama from Atuabu gas today, which is helping Ghana to be a net exporter of gas and other products. It's paying for it itself. All the hospitals across the country. These people have enunciated, Kwame, they told us Agenda 111, a lie. Go to any of the sites that the president went to capture and see if there's work going on. They want to demolish the people they are hospital here. Go and see, it's empty space. They are doing horse racing at where the hospital used to stand. Nothing. All the Agenda 111 you talked about, Kwame, is not there. Because go and take the budget, 2022 budget. The money they are project, they can build even 5 hospitals. Okay? So clearly, you see that a government that had indicated that in opposition that borrowing was an act of lazy governance, and now one of the most reckless borrowing government in the history of our country. Within a short period of time, look at the quantum. Today, no wonder they are crying that we have been involved in irresponsible borrowing to the point that we are failing debt stress analysis.
Absolutely.
Today, Kwame, look at the factors they are talking about. One of the things they said, and let me go there before I go to this one, was that they were going to move from taxation to production, because production is the one that will spur growth in the economy and ensure that jobs will be created for the teeming mass of our youth. What has happened? Where is the production base? Today, under their watch, probably they have brought in more than 25 new taxes since they came to power.
We've moved from production to taxation.
In fact, they have increased taxation to increased taxation. They have worsened the taxation. And worse one, now they want to come and steal the money in our pockets. Because Kwame, if somebody comes and take money from your pocket, what will you call it? Kwame? Krofu?
Jiroe.
Krofu. No be so. If somebody takes your money, no be Krofu.
Well, that's the brand.
The brand. I'm talking about Dagomba, man. Dagomba, she formed from Ashila Krofu. Krofu.
No, it's Krofu.
Krofu. Kwame, no be so.
It be so.
Electronic money. Kwame, if I have my money and I decide to put it in my electronic wallet, that wallet is wallet containing my money. It's like putting it in your pocket or opening a bank account. If you come to take that money, it's stealing. So there are ways in which the state can be accused of trying to rob the people. This attempt to go for our decision is a tantamount to robbery. It's an attempt to rob the people of their monies. Because it is done for no service. No, it's not as if the money has been used to generate some wealth as a capital gain for you to tax it. You cannot tax that money. That money cannot be taxed and must not be taxed. Kwame, that is why we have resolutely stood against any attempt to tax Momo. So this Nana Bawumia tax will not be tolerated by us. We have made it abundantly clear. We will not support it today. We will not support it tomorrow. Because it's an attempt to rob the people of their money. At a time when you are encouraging people that they should patronize more electronic transactions. How does the two work? That they go and start patronizing electronic, then you go and put tax on the things they are patronizing. How is that going to work? So Kwame, I wanted you to set that context so that it becomes very clear. Now, Kwame, look at the debt to GDP today. Now it's about 82%. 82%. Kwame, in just 4 years. Look at where they have taken it. It tells you, and not just that, but you go and look at it more of what? Debt to revenue. Today, Kwame, our debt to revenue is 45%. Now, if you add compensation, if we were to add compensation, it will strip over 100%. Then you are not talking about statutory payments. No wonder today, District Assembly Common Fund, National Health Insurance Levy, Get Fund, they are in huge arrears. If you go to the District Assembly Common Fund, they are wailing. The Ministry of Finance has actually asked the Get Fund to go and borrow money.
How?
Yes, Kwame. And you see the illegality. That's why in Parliament we have called the Finance Minister. He ran away a number of times. We are going to review it when we get back to Parliament. The Finance Minister we brought to answer. Because, Kwame, these are statutory deductions.
Absolutely.
So anytime government revenue is made, 5% of it is deducted. So if it's deducted, where is the money that has been deducted? The Finance Minister has called that money and squandered those monies. Where is the money? Where is the 5% of government revenue they have deducted from the District Assembly Common Fund?
And borrow from where?
And now he started the District Assembly Common Fund Secretary to go and borrow money.
From where?
From where? How do they borrow money when their monies are supposed to be lying in your custody? Give them the money. In fact, you haven't understood me. I didn't say assemblies. I said the Common Fund Secretariat. And if you finish here, go and talk to Natoshi.
Common Fund Secretariat, where have they been directed?
I am telling you, I'm speaking. Sir, where I sit, I have privileged information. You don't know, so don't talk. And I'm saying that if you know Natoshi, for here, go and talk to her. Ask her whether they have been asked to go and borrow money or not.
Okay.
They have been asked to go and borrow money.
No, that's already
happened with Get Fund.
Okay. They have collectors Get Fund. Exactly.
Get Fund.
They have.
That one.
You can't deny it.
I don't know about
Get Fund is different from the decentralized.
I'm just indicating to you that they have asked them to go and borrow.
It's just a decentralization system. So it is.
A lot of the district for the four quarters, they themselves, they have not been given the money to pay to the assemblies. That's why I had wished for Sabo to have become MCE. He will go and sit there, even granules he buys, he can't pay. Under his government.
So maybe God
granules. Maybe he will call me Alaji pass by. I can't say Charlie, some granules seller is sitting in my house. Now I'll bail him out as my brother. Kwame, he can't pay from the assembly. They have not made the monies available to them. They are sitting on their monies. Okay? And Kwame, talking about today compensation. Now, workers are up in arms. They are rejecting the poultry 7%. They are giving them for 2020 because they are saying their leaders went and sold them out.
Is it 7% or 4%?
Poultry.
3%.
Poultry.
I think it was 3.
No, it was 4%. This one.
So it's 7.
So whatever,
3%.
Kwame, whatever percentage, the workers have said they won't take it.
It's 3%.
Because it's an insult. Now we are saying that at a time when we are saying that there's no money. Kwame, the office of government machinery, that's the office of the president, in the 2022 budget, moved from 2.6 billion to 3.1 billion. 500 million Ghana cedis increase for the office of the president. That's office of the government machinery. So you know what is happening? That is what is fueling the unfettered appetite for extravagance by the executive. If all other districts are cut down because there's no money, then the office of the president and the office of government machinery alone, you can increase it by more than 500 million. What are you telling Ghanaians? That when it comes to you, the executive, you have money, 500 million extra. But when it comes to teachers, No wonder the president told the teachers that if you want to make money somewhere, don't go and be a teacher.
He said if you want to make money in this government,
don't go and be a teacher.
Join the private sector.
No. This one was as a teachers ground. He went and told the teachers that we saw the outrage that teachers greeted with. And so you can see that if his office alone in 1 year, they can give them 500 million increase. But when it comes to teachers, you say 3%, or what percentage were you mentioning? Their leaders will go and negotiate and take 3%. An insult. That's why the workers say it's an insult. They won't take it. And so, Kwame, what we are seeing today, the agitations that are coming over, are going to put additional pressure on compensation. Because the labor unions and others, when the negotiations, whether government likes it or you can go and use the National Labour Commission or any other thing to rein them in. I was hearing today that they are threatening the university teachers that they will sack all of them. Let them sack all of them to go home. If you think there's no gravity, you jump and let's see whether you suspend. You will come down. They should ask previous governments who engage in that kind of reckless attitude and see how it ended them. You cannot. You cannot sack all workers. You lie. Okay? So, Kwame, if you look at the magnitude of the challenges facing us today, you'll be left in no doubt that it is down to the catastrophic mismanagement of this economy by the Nana Akufo-Addo Bamia government. And Kwame, what have we in the NDC suggested? Look, Kwame, there's some massive leakage of public resources. I'm not talking about MMDA, so Kwame, I'm talking about public boards and corporations. Okay? In 2017, Kwame, the losses, malfeasance, corruption, and others cost 12.0008 billion Ghana cedis. Losses, leakages. In 2018, it came down to about 3.8 something billion. 2019, it went up to about 5.8 something billion. Kwame, 2020, it came to 12.8 billion Ghana cedis. So if you total the 4 years under Nana Akufo-Addo, Kwame, we have a total of about 33.3 billion Ghana cedis. Okay? In just 4 years. So if in 4 years, you can get a loss of about 33.3 billion, conservatively, Kwame, you are attempting to fill a basket, open basket, a basket full of holes with water. Even if you put it in the sea, it won't fill. The sea, which is almost limitless, it won't fill. So you need to go back and plug those holes. What has this government done? Especially in the area of corruption. Ever since this government go, Kwame, there was a time it was almost one day, one scandal. You remember? Almost every other day we used to hear scandals. This man has gone and allegedly stolen this man. This man has gone and allegedly done this. Not a single person has this government prosecuted ever since he came to power. Not one. They are running after their political opponents in a matter of persecution. Kwame, it hasn't. So we said that go and plug those loopholes first. Okay? After you plug those loopholes, look at your unfettered appetite for extravagance. In this day and age, in this suffering, when Ghanaians are struggling to find 1 square meal to eat, Kwame, a president chooses to go and charter presidential jets, luxury aircraft, where there's master dining hall, master bedroom, bathing, super bathroom, so that at 34,000 feet, the president can be bathing on us. Because the defense minister said the president has to freshen up when he's going for conferences and others. So you spend about $22,000 an hour on aircraft. Kwame, that is an hour, and sometimes they can keep it for weeks. Now we hear that even that jet is parked at the Air Force base or somewhere, almost permanently now. So there are rumors swirling that either we have even bought it secretly loan. That is the issue, or permanently rented it. Kwame, when you now permanently leased or rented. So you can imagine how much the state is incurring. Is that the best way, the most judicious way of using money in times of crisis when your people are facing these difficulties? Is that the mark of a leader? That's why Bill Clinton says that it is in times of crisis, of difficulty, of national emergencies, that the true character of leaders emerge. The true character of leaders, especially in relation to their ability to bear sacrifices. That is when it emerges. So at the time when Ghanaians did sacrifice from their leader, look at how he's living. Look at how large and extravagant he's living on Ghanaians. Kwame, he's going, people, convoy. Some people say they have even counted 30, 40 cars.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me come to Owusu.
You are looking at all this.
Let me come to Owusu.
And you are indicating that
there's a lot more you can say when we get to the fuel prices as well as the Concerned Drivers Association. So just round up respectively.
Yeah, so Kwame, the fiscal profligacy. You mentioned it in your discussion, fiscal profligacy. Not being able to be fiscally prudent accounts for some of the things we are seeing today. That you can hype your economic performance. When it comes to the true reality of the lives of the people, you'll be exposed.
Right.
And that's why today Ghanaians overwhelmingly have passed a vote of no confidence in this government's management of the economy. Shambolic.
Thank you.
Kwame, and let me end on this note, and I've said it. COVID or without COVID. The worst economic performance record in terms of economic growth, the worst, you can get a scapegoat and put it on, it doesn't matter. The worst economic record under the aegis of the Fourth Republic, even perhaps in the entire country, is under the government of Nana Akufo-Addo. 2020 economic growth 0.4%. That's the worst economic growth.
All right.
You can cite anything as an excuse.
Thank you very much.
It doesn't take it away.
Honorable
the best economic
David
performance, Kwame, under the aegis of the Fourth Republic,
all
has been under the NDC 2011.
Okay. All right.
Kwame, 14.something%.
Thank you.
You cannot take it away.
You are still watching the Newspaper Review segment here on Pan-African Television. My name again is Kwame Owusu. So we're still discussing Ghana debt moves deeper into distress as investors lose patience. And this is a story captured by Bloomberg. And we've listened to Sabo, we've listened to Honorable Ibi Hussein. Let's now listen to our very own Audishak on this subject matter.
But this 10 days, you read it. I want you to emphasize it. It says bonds from 10% in 10 days.
Yeah, in 10 days.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
10% in 10 days.
It's
unprecedented.
It's with Audishak.
It's a total vote of no confidence in the economy.
But Audishak, let me come to
Well, Kwame, I don't know why in...
If you can speak up a little.
I don't know why in our own Ghana we make economics look like rocket science. I think that economic is as basic as any other subject matter. But because of the politics of it, and to some extent, you can see the partisan twist that come along with assessing our economy, we are unable to have a full grasp of the reality on the ground. And for me, whenever we indulge or we engage in any assessment of our debt situation, I feel so sad that people decide to twist and turn around the figures in order to achieve a certain, probably partisan political consideration. Either than that, Kwame, most of these things are of public record and of public knowledge. You understand? Because at any point in time, how much Ghana has borrowed is of a public record. Everybody knows that. This is how much we have borrowed, this is how we borrowed it, this is where we borrowed it, and all of that. And we have all of that data available as a people. You understand? And so, if you have all of that data available, why is it that in doing an assessment of what effects or what consequences that data have on our economy, people tend to shy away from the reality? Whether we like it or not, Kwame, we know Ghana's debt stock, what Ghana's debt stock was in 2016. After 5 years of the NPP, we know of where or how much Ghana's debt stock is. And we can do a comparison of it. You understand? And so for me, looking at the situation we find ourselves in now, nobody can run away from the fact that this is not where we ought to be as a people. Especially if we were to juxtapose our current situation with the kind of promises that we made and the kind of self-assessment that people did of themselves in terms of having the capacity and the competence to be able to manage the economy far better than some other people were managing the economy. Because if somebody was managing the economy in a certain manner and we're complaining about borrowing, we're all complaining about borrowing, we're complaining about how monies borrowed were being used. That is talking about judicious use of what had been borrowed. If you get the opportunity, you ought to do something different. You can't come around, given the opportunity that you have today, borrow far more than what was borrowed, and turn around to want us to believe that there is a reason for which you are borrowing the way you are borrowing. I am not sure that anybody ever borrowed without any reason. Everybody would give a reason for wanting to borrow. You understand? Because we have an economy that is always, how will I put it? We are always in arrears. Arrears to the extent that if you look at the expenditure items that we have to meet as a people, total revenue is always unable to cover for them. And that is because we have failed to plan the economy in such a manner that we'll be able to make gains or have surpluses. So we have a deficit all the time. Because our expenditure far outweighs the revenue that we are able to mobilize year in, year out. And so we always have a deficit. So you would have to borrow. But what it means is that in order that we do not find ourselves being on a deficit all the time, how will we ensure that we make use of what we have? Judicious and prudent use of the revenue that we are able to realize. But over the years, that has been our bane as a people. Because as we speak now, Kwame, they are telling us that as of September was about some 3 months back. As of September, total debt stock was 371 or is it 378 billion Ghana cedis. Billion Ghana cedis. So if we were to add that of the last 3 months, October, November, December, we may probably be hitting 400 billion Ghana cedis. You understand? Yeah. And so how can we have such a huge debt stock and people want to make it look as if it is because of COVID-19 that we are where we are? Of course, COVID-19 could have played a part. But we are saying that in the midst of the COVID, we cannot continue to want to do things the way we were doing them prior to COVID. You have to cut down on certain things. And that is where, when people make mention of budgetary allocations to the Office of Government Machinery, we cannot shy away from it. It's not about politics. But if we find ourselves in such a dire situation, luxury should be the least of the considerations. And so if you want to increase budgetary allocation to the Office of Government Machinery by a whopping 478 million Ghana cedis, almost 500 million Ghana cedis, you cannot turn around because what at all is so critical and crucial about the Office of Government Machinery that you can cut budgetary allocation to places like education, to places like health, especially when you know that the Ministry of Health, whether we like it or not, has an oversight over managing that same COVID, that monster COVID that you are talking about. Today, Kwame, we are not doing we are not doing contact tracing. Because over the years, we have failed to honor our part as a people, as a government, in terms of motivating and remunerating the contact tracers. So today, we are only relying just on vaccination. Let's go out there and vaccinate. Let's go out there and get vaccinated. That is all about it. But we know that there are so many other innovative ways that we would have to use in order to be able to deal with COVID. Because if we think that COVID is the reason for which the economy is performing so badly and so poorly, what are we doing to stem the tide in as far as dealing with COVID is concerned so that the economy can bounce back? We are not interested in that. Because if you are not allocating the requisite resources to the entities and the stakeholders responsible for managing the situation, it means that you you are content with the situation, because we have a situation whereby people are of the perceived opinion that some people took advantage of COVID and cashed in on it. Because series of assessments, independent assessments have been done, and everybody thinks that most of the things that were done in terms of procurement, in terms of supplies, and all of that during the COVID period were prone to high-risk corruption incidences. I am not the one saying it. A number of times we've sat in here, you have called in experts, and they have proffered their opinions. Because what it means is that at a time that they are telling us that because of COVID, people have to brace themselves and all of that, others were taking advantage of the situation and they were making good money. Kwame, that is the reason for which today, Honorable is here. The various ministers responsible are even failing to make available, the requisite, how do I put it, to render accounts on expenditure on COVID. After almost 2 years. After almost 2 years from 2020 through to 2021, Parliament is calling for a certain kind of audit into the COVID expenditure. The government is running away. Why would you be running away from something you say is the one that is responsible for the kind of performances that you are churning out as a government in terms of managing the economy? Go to Parliament. Go and render those accounts, which will be of a public record, so that we will know that indeed this is how you spent the money, and that is the reason for which the economy is crumbling. But if you are running away, it means you are giving a certain impetus to people who believe that you mismanage the economy. You cashed in on the economy. And so you cash in on COVID. And so you cannot turn around and say COVID is the reason for which the economy is performing badly. I don't want to go into most of the things that Honorable talked about. Yeah. Other than that, I feel so bad that this is how we are managing this particular economy of ours. Talking about debt to GDP and all that. You cannot have a debt to GDP of almost 84%. When some people had it around 50-something%, it was a problem. It does not matter the reason for which it has risen to that extent. You must agree that there's a problem. It means that certain things will not be able to be done. And that is the reason for which you had to cut down allocations to some other sectors, to some other entities, departments, and all of that. So why are you increasing yours as Office of Government Machinery? At a time that people are complaining about the way you are using what has already been allocated to you in the previous years. I think that we have to show leadership.
Thank you, Owusu. Now, the final story has got to do with fuel prices shooting up, respectfully, shooting up, and then concern, because I don't have to have I just have about 10 minutes, and concerned drivers association to increase. Hold on, respectfully. Fuel prices to shoot up again, and concerned drivers association to increase fares by 40%. We have been joined on the phone by the PRO of the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana. His name is David Agbo-Ado. We need to listen to the reasons behind the thought of wanting to increase fares by 40%. 40%. So I don't know whether Bless Headman Alomaso has been able to put him on the line. Hello, good morning, David.
Good morning, sir.
How are we, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Fantastic. Why are we increasing fares by 40%? And why are you starting on Monday?
But if you up your voice a little bit for me.
Okay. I'm asking you with two questions in one. I'm saying, Can you hear me, please?
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Fantastic. I'm saying that why are we increasing fares by 40%? And why do we intend to do so on Monday?
Thank you very much. We intend increasing fare on Monday because it's necessary. For almost 4 months now, that we start talking with government, visiting them, writing them letters, inviting them to our meetings, our various meetings. And the last one that we did was to meet with Chief of Staff at the presidency. in which we all met at her office, and promises were made. But up to today, that promise is not being fulfilled.
What was the promise?
Come again?
What was the promise? What was the promise made?
The promise was made 6th December 2021.
What was the promise? What did they promise you?
We were promised that yes, fuel price will be reduced or will go down. But as I speak now, fuel still remain at where it is.
Okay.
6 cities, 85 pesos on the liter.
Okay. So GPRTU has indicated to us, in fact, our news team went to speak to GPRTU, and they have indicated to us that they have distanced themselves from your decision to increase your fares by 40%. What do you say?
Is it GPRTU or Ghana Transport Coordinating Council?
Ghana Transport Coordinating Council, yes.
Yes. GPRTU is a very respectable organization. They will not do so. But Ghana Transport Coordinating Council, being manned by a single person, the General Secretary, let me use the right word, the so-called General Secretary, who will say so. We know that he will say so. Because when the coalition came out saying we will go to strike, the General Secretary, says there is nothing like strike that will happen in Ghana. Did it happen or not?
It did.
Yo, this is the same person telling you this. You see, in all this, GPRTU, like let me say 30 minutes ago, I was spoken with my good brother Abbas Ibrahim, because they have written to us that yes, the coalition is still ongoing, so we are not a single entity, so we should come so that we sit down, because the initial plan was government would reduce some taxes. So that is the initial plan. So we should come and let's review those things. They say yes, we will come to them this afternoon for us to sit down. But yes, so the 40% will still come on, because we are still buying the fuel at high cost. As I speak to you, government indicated that this year its charges will go up by 30%.
Yes.
When you go to DVLA, the 30% is working over there. When you go to insure your vehicle, the 30% is working over there. When you go to Abusokan, the spare parts that we used to buy last year, December, November, have increased by 100%. So how can we run business without charging the charge that are very relevant? That's why on Monday, we are going to take the 40% on our fare.
David, I'm sure the news team will come back to you again after your meeting with GPRTU, so that you can furnish us with a lot more information. Whether or not the decision still will still stand after your meeting, we will get to find out a little later. But thank you very much for your time this morning, David.
Thank you very much too.
All right. So we've been we spoke to David Agbuado, who is the PRO of the Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana, and that will actually lay the foundation for our next topic, which has got to do with fuel prices to shoot up again and Concerned Drivers Association to increase fares by 40%. You listen to him. Let me come to you. Let me start where you can add it to your time. But you have 2 minutes. We all have two minutes with respect. I think I gave you enough time.
Sabo, you spoke more than any of us.
Yeah.
What I say, Kwame, I was going to raise that.
Sabo is my brother.
You have been fair. First. All of them speak the same language. What is different from
which language?
What he said?
I'll give you additional 1 minute. So you have 3 minutes. All of them will have 2 minutes.
Kwame, this.
Let me come to you.
Kwame,
I
will not tolerate discrimination. Kwame,
I will not speak for 2 minutes.
Discrimination is
no, Kwame, it's not fair. You gave Sabo almost 1 hour to talk.
The point is that Sabo is indicating that he didn't use Hiroshima. You know, his was subtle. You use Hiroshima.
His was a nuclear bomb.
Let me come to you, Awudisha.
Well, Kwame, it's sad that a lot more misery and a lot more suffering is about to be unleashed on the ordinary Ghanaian. Because if we have fuel prices shooting up, and undoubtedly we are all aware of the consequential effects of having such a situation, you just spoke to either a transport operator or a driver, and he indicated quite clearly the situation that they are faced with. The situation that they are faced with as because this is a business that is run on fuel, and once they are paying so much for fuel, you cannot, as it were, fail to understand that they have to make sure that they at least break even if they will not make profit. And this is where government policy comes in handy. Kwame, we are all aware of what goes into the pricing of fuel. We know that there are a number of taxes that are imbued in the petroleum price build-up. And so when you have a situation whereby fuel consumers or the ordinary citizens are calling for something to be done about fuel, it means quite clearly that government ought to look at some of the taxes that have been put on the fuel. Maybe some of them have to be removed. Others have to be reduced or reviewed for that matter. Because once you are able to reduce the tax margins on the petroleum products, undoubtedly, the price would come down and people will be able to afford it. And once they are able to afford it, whether as private citizens or as commercial transport owners or drivers for that matter, we will not have to pay so much in terms of our commercial transportation. But as we have it now, was I listening to somebody yesterday and he was indicating that it's just by magic that we are still buying fuel for less than 7 cedis per liter, because from all indications, we should have been buying fuel far beyond that particular margin. So I just hope that, like he indicated, they have had meetings with the chief of staff, and it must go beyond the chief of staff. I think that the entire government machinery ought to see the need to do something about this particular situation. Because those of us who patronize the commercial transport system are far more outweigh those who are able to afford their own cars. Even those who afford their own cars, they still have to go out there and buy fuel. We must do something about it. Ghanaians are suffering way too much.
Thank you. So, yes, before then, but I think on this, when you were interviewing the gentleman, I thought when he referred to the general secretary, the so-called you should have actually asked him to withdraw that particular decision, because you don't belong to that group, that union. So you cannot call him an imposter, because if you say so-called, then you are more or less referring to him as an imposter, which you do not form part of the decision. I don't think it was a fair decision. Having said that, Kwame, I was saying something, I should mention the figure. 2017 to 2019, GDP growth, average GDP growth rate was 7%. I have mentioned this severally here, but because I was not prepared for that. Yes, I said 7%. Here's it. Check, please. When you were talking, I was so quiet, like I'm not in this studio. I'm pretty.
That's why they did well.
Exactly. Yes. And then public debt to GDP ratio, as at 2020, was 81.1%. I hope you're getting me. And from that 2020 up to 2022. So if you have managed it up to this particular level in the midst of all this, and it is around 82, then I think this government has done so well. Because you know what is going on. I mean, with the economic situation, I mean, everything, production going down, I mean, taxation going down, and big bro, why can't you just, you can sit. And then fiscal deficit. Kwame, as he was saying, 2014, it is true. No, 2012, was it 2011? It is true that GDP growth went up to 14%. And you remember that time, the prices of cocoa shot up. That of fuel also went up, and that was the time. Today were the first to draw the fuel and the rest. I mean, so many things accumulated to that. But fiscal deficit, as at that time, was 12%. There was no any with all this money and other things. Fiscal deficit was 12%. Under your regime, there was nothing in this country that warranted that particular discipline. Quite apart from that, Kwame, when you go again, 2020, fiscal deficit was 15.2%. Went up to, and of course, like I've always referred to, which they don't want to hear, hear. That is the COVID-19. But inflation was 7.8%. In the midst of all this, government was able to maintain, control the internal, price index. And it was around 7.8%. Kwame, GDP growth, as at the time we took over, was 3.4%. 2017, GDP growth rate was 6.6%. Just from 2016, 3.4%. And you sit here and you want to tell us that you are better managers of the economy than us. Where? The women have a proverb. That they need to come. That let them mark a bad ones all day. Ash. You know the ash. When it is hot, can the dog lie in it? No. The dog can only lie in it when it is cool. Okay. Let's move on to yes. Now the transport. It's not unfortunate, Kwame. I think I feel their pain. All of us caught up in certain situation will want to go in that dimension because they do not generate the fuel themselves. Neither do they buy the pass from their own distance. They also buy from the open market. So it's us to, when these things go up, then they also see how they can still make profit in their business and also adjust it. But nonetheless, but he said something that I disagree with him. There was a promise of reduction of fuel, and indeed, that same week, fuel went down. But if he says that maybe it has come back, then I will agree with him. But the promise was actually fulfilled. We all witnessed it. Fuel prices went down. Please. You didn't ask him when he was talking. Why are you asking me?
No, it's irrelevant.
I beg you. Kwame, you agree with me. Fuel prices went down. But nonetheless, of course, it is not where it is. Yes, it was. It has gone up again. Yes, for that one I agree. But I wanted him to be fair to the viewers. And I strongly believe that the government will so find a way to sit with them to see how we can balance the equation. Because like my younger brother was saying, definitely if he's going to board the car, he's going to pay and he will feel the pinch. So the driver will only transfer the cost to the ordinary citizen.
And then that will also affect the price of goods and services.
Services, as I said. And it will also go a long way to affect inflation.
Absolutely.
Even. How they are getting me. So I strongly believe the government is taking stock of their grievances. But to have actually said that Monday, they are starting by Monday, I think that's a security threat to a large extent because he didn't. When he said they went to chief of staff, and that promise were made, and they was not fulfilled. Because you even, and I like the way you asked him to mention specifically, and he mentioned the price of the fuel, and that one was made. So if it has gone up again, I think this is a new development. You should have found a way to go back and say, you promised us, yes, you fulfill it, but as we speak today, that promise is no more. So what do we do? Okay. And I think that is where we could have found a lasting solution to that.
Honorable, let's end with you.
Kwame, when Sabo said certain things, laughable. Resources, Kwame, no government in the history of this republic, even including the legendary founder of this nation, Osajefu Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame has had this nation. He himself was born in this country and he's the founder of this nation. Kwame Nkrumah is beyond this. You make certain statement that the legendary founder of this nation.
Where were his parents? Where were they before they gave birth to him?
The legendary founder of this nation, Osajefu Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Stop saying that thing.
Kwame, without any iota of that, Kwame Nkrumah of Africa, not even from his time has he had any government has resources. This government, Kwame, in 4.5 years has had more than 435 billion Ghana cedis. Kwame, over 435 billion Ghana cedis. What have they done? Kwame, just look at them. What have they done with the money? NAPCO. Kwame, I hope NAPCO will find peace in their hearts to forgive you this morning. Because it's a final announcement we are giving to them. A lot of them are crying. After you heard some of them, they said, even I heard somebody say somebody is suicide or he died out of frustration over this. Kwame, they have not paid them their monies. Yeah. It's been on social media. You are not. What's up social media all over. You bring social media all over. Kwame, yeah, I'm telling you. So Kwame, don't rub salt in the wounds of NAPCO beneficiaries.
No problem.
They are crying all over the place.
No problem. Allah.
that they use them for electioneering purposes because of the other decision now. They have dumped them. Common payment of the addition. That's why you say Nigeria say bon picking no be problem. Kwame, maybe money for cocoa. So Kwame, I won't go into that. But Kwame, it is precisely the reason I want to plead with our brothers in the concerned decision. I am the first to understand why there's a justification for their increases. No argument about that. I only want them to tamper justice with mercy. Kwame, that you don't use the slap of the achiri to slap the jamfo. This is the product of an irresponsible, reckless government. They should not put it on the innocent Ghanaians who are just trying to commute. So in as much as I expect that in line with current trends, because it's a business, they need to go up. I beg them, instead of 40%, Kwame, I beg you, they should come down for the ordinary people of this country. We are pleading with them. Because they said, but Kwame, why? This government, the same thing that they did with the economy, Kwame, they had petrol gallon, 2016, and said that at that time, Kwame, a gallon was about 14 Ghana cedis at that time. And said President Mahama was a wicked president. He's an insensitive leader to let petrol price, a gallon of petrol cost 14 cedis, a gallon. And then when they come to power, Kwame, that petrol price will go down substantially. They use the word drastically. That they will drastically reduce fuel prices. 40 cedis, oh. Kwame, today, how much is a gallon of petrol? 31 getting to 32 Ghana cedis. More than double. So if somebody is irresponsible, is reckless, is wicked, is insensitive, and is 40, and you come and double it, how shall we call you? Kwame, what name do we give to this group of people who come and they impose double jeopardy, hardship, misery on Ghanaians? And what? And when you ask them, they say, they raise their hands and say, oh, we are in a deregulated environment. Hey, you brought deregulation. When President Mahama was there was no deregulation. So they were oblivious of the deregulation under President Mahama. It is only when you come that you can start deregulation. And who says that in a deregulation, government has no hands in it? Kwame, more than 45% of petroleum price build-up is made up of taxes. Kwame, note my words. More than 45% of petroleum price build-up is made up of taxes. That's why even COVID-19, they won't put it on fuel. COVID, which is a pandemic, they are taxing it. They are using the name of COVID to raise tax, this government. Kwame, I'm sure that if we have mass goat miscarriage, if goats miscarry on a large scale in Ghana here, I'm telling you, MPP will find a way of taxing it tomorrow. They'll make goat miscarriage tax and put it on fuel. These people, they will do it in their desperation. So Kwame,
but if we were taxing condoms,
Kwame, this is not true. It was even proven to be false. But I'm indicating to you that these people, they will tax any and everything. That's why they want to even take money from the wallets of people. Electronic wallet, they will go and raid that wallet. But Kwame, I'm saying not only that, Kwame, there are looming dangers. And that's why we in the NDC said that this budget was bad for Ghanaians. You know that they are proposing between 15 to 30% fees and charges, levies that they will bring to Parliament for Parliament to pass. So like the PRO was telling you, when you go to GVLA, Ghanaians should take note. When this is passed, this January, when you go to GVLA, you will see an upward adjustment in license you are going to attain. When you go to renew the roadworthiness of your car, you go to do the insurance of your car, all those things are going to shoot up. Kwame, who do you pass the course on to? Are they Father Christmas? Even Father Christmas has a motive. Father Christmas is generously funded by somebody. Otherwise, if he's a businessman, you pass the cost. Okay? There's no free lunch. I've always said it that, Kwame, if somebody gives you free lunch, he's fattening you for supper. He will eat you for supper. So don't go and believe that it's free lunch anywhere. Okay. So it doesn't say. So Kwame, and look at spare parts. You are aware. Now look at the inconsistencies, the flip-flopping of this government on benchmark values. You see, it was the same government. And Kwame, I've been wondering, They say they have the men. But you look at them, and you say, these are the men. In fact, boys are even stronger than the men. Kwame, if you are going to do something, do you think about it? Thoroughly digest it before you do it, or you do it before you think about it? Kwame, which comes first?
You think about it thoroughly before you.
But these people, they do the things before they think about it. Because you remember these benchmark values. They were the same people who said, under our watch, we had messed up with this thing. They were going to make sure that they take it away. Is that not they who took it away? So that's why who are they sacking in the evening is greeting good night. Is it not them? Why are they bringing it back? The same people. So this flip-flopping, inconsistency, hypocrisy, direct politicking with this for political gains. Because they had anticipated earlier that Aboso kind people who were supporting them. So let them take away this for political convenience. Today, the reality has caught up with them.
Thank you.
Kwame, if you send your son to the hereafter, you return, you will not recognize him.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ibi Husseini. Thank you very much, Sabo, indeed. And thank you, Audi Shak, for your time this morning. Thank you to all those who watched us today. My name is Kwame Owusu. A big thank you to Ambassador Sampiale. A big thank you to Dr. Tony Edu, who is returning to Alaji and Alaji. And Mr. Philip London, who's also returning to Alaji and Alaji. It's going to be fireworks. Yeah, it's going to be fireworks tomorrow. Yeah, you don't want to miss that. Absolutely, absolutely. It's going to be exciting. Alaji and Alaji tomorrow. You don't want to miss out. My brother Sena Numbo will be your pilot for tomorrow, as always. And it's going to be very, very exciting. Definitely, you don't want to miss that one now. It's been an absolute pleasure serving you this week. My name again is Kwame Owusu. So I'll see you guys when I see you. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.